Good morning, guys. I had grabbed these. Obviously they're bad pomegranates. Not all of them, but some of them. From my grandparents, I don't know, maybe like a couple weeks ago, for the sole purpose of having free chicken feed. Sorry, it's super bright out here. It's always bright. And the chickens have been absolutely loving them. I give them with every meal, just like, I don't know, 5 or 6, whatever will fill this up, and toss them in with the food. They almost don't eat the food and just eat this. So awesome news. Last night was the first night that everybody went into the coop. I've had the 2 new roosters and 3 new hens for, shoot, like 4 days now. And every night I had to come out because they were sleeping in this doghouse. Excuse me. What are you doing? Hi. Hi, pretty. She's the friendliest. She always comes up to me. And I was a little worried because when my mom said that she had introduced her new hens and rooster to the flock, there was a hen that would stand at the doorway of the coop and just not let anyone else in. So finally last night I came out at dusk and I turned this thing over so that they didn't have somewhere, this sounds terrible, so they didn't have somewhere they felt safe to sleep. And I put each hen and rooster in there and just waited, and they all went to bed. And hopefully now everyone will be safe and secure every night without me having to come out and make sure that all the chickens are away. So everyone's doing awesome. None of the new hens are laying. They're, shoot, what are they? I think everyone's 3 months, 4 months old. So these hens won't lay for a little while longer, and the roosters aren't mature as well. So currently, this Cuckoo rooster and that Wyandotte rooster, well, they're both getting along for now. It's actually pretty interesting to see their dynamic because it's almost as if the Moran has taken the role of the protector of the whole flock, and then the Wyandotte is almost subordinate to him and actually all of the hens. He's kind of a little bit of a wimp, for lack of a better word. But we'll see. I'm really hoping that the dynamic will continue the way that it is and there won't be a problem in the future. But we also have to see when they grow to maturity if the hens are gonna be okay with 2 roosters. So we'll see. I honestly have not been out to the garden much. At all, really. It's doing okay. Hi, Freya. You want to say hi to everybody? Say hi. So at this point in the winter season, everything's pretty much petered out. Still got leeks that are growing. This kale is there. And I do still have rutabagas in the ground that I haven't harvested yet. I'm still the only one that likes eating them, so it's moving a little bit slower than usual for the harvest. I'm regularly pulling greens off of this for the chickens. I've harvested a couple of leeks for dinners and such, but it's nothing to harvest and preserve. It's more of a fresh eating situation. And then pretty much all of my garlic has come up, which is very, very exciting. It seems to be doing pretty well, handling the cold snaps pretty well. Although lately it's been really warm during the days, 60s and 70s. It still drops to the 30s or lower at night. But everything's still alive. Nothing has really died. I just haven't been taking care of it as much, which isn't a bad thing. I'm about to show you guys the huge success I have with the hydroponics grow tower inside. But my primary focus this winter hasn't been on growing food, and it doesn't have to be. I consider myself a pretty industrious person. So, I mean, of course I relax and I have fun, but I kind of have this inability to relax when I feel there's work to be done. And honestly, I like keeping busy. When I'm working with my hands, especially when I'm working outside, it's sort of like my meditation period. And as a person who loves to garden and grow my own food, it's a little difficult in the winter to just stop that. So the first 2 winters that I had this garden, I just kept trying to replant things all winter and kept having failure after failure after failure. And that's fine, I was experimenting, but I was also doing it because I felt like I had to grow something. But this year, I'm trying. You're in my shot. I have the indoor garden, which is a help, you know. I have lettuce greens and herbs that I get to harvest, and it kind of feeds my little gardening need over the winter season where I can't grow anything outside. But it's important to have, at least for a couple months, this small season where I'm not stressing myself out about food growing all the time. And instead I can take this time and put it productively towards building infrastructure on the homestead. So I've got the meat chicken tractor done. The new chickens moved into their coop. And I can say that for my January goal of being chicken focused, I think I'm on the right path. I've worked out measurements for cattle panels and such about regarding how I want to build the permanent chicken run. I haven't put that to practice yet, mostly because the last time I tried to sink poles, like 4x4s in the ground with concrete, it failed miserably. So I'm a little apprehensive to try that again and fail again. And I know jack about construction. And I need to do so many things. I need to order bare root trees. I need to till that ground where the in-ground garden is going. I need to build garden beds. And it's super easy for me to get overwhelmed, and like I just have a long running list, as most homesteads do, as most people do. Even if you don't have a homestead, there's always something else to do. But I gave myself a focus for the chickens this month, and I think that has really, really helped me. But if I can compartmentalize, that is a whole cauliflower plant. I have the coolest dog in the world. But compartmentalizing, you know, different sections of the homestead that I need to work on at a time, I think that has really helped my stress level this month so far, and prevented a lot of the analysis paralysis that you get when you have way too many things to do and you feel like you have no time to do them. And it's like only what is it? What's today? It's only January 13th. I have so much time. She is just ravaging that plant. She kind of makes me want to eat some. Is that yummy, Freya? Is it yummy, yummy, yummy? Oh, yum, yum. Is that delicious? It's okay. Yeah. Let me take y'all inside and show you the grow tower. Look at this amazing tower of food. I'm not sure how well you guys are going to be able to hear me. This tower is pretty loud, but the sound is very cool. Besides the low hum of the pump inside, sounds like a waterfall all throughout the house all day long. It's actually pretty neat. So for those of you that are new here, I started the seeds for this hydroponic tower November 23rd, I want to say. And I started them in rock wool cubes, which are these. I've already harvested multiple heads of lettuce. I definitely haven't eaten all of them. I gave some away. But this has proved to be a very, very worthwhile endeavor. Not only because it's beautiful and sounds amazing, but because it scratches that gardening itch that I need during the winter months and provides me food. Now, there are a few issues I have noticed so far, which I have not figured out what to do about yet. So this water right here is not from the whole thing leaking. It's actually from this guy, this chard, that's a little too heavy at the base right here, and he's pulling himself out of the tower. So you have water dripping down onto the ground, which is fixable, just annoying. And then you can see on some of the other parts, there aren't any breaks in the seal, as in there's no water actually coming out of here and pooling on the ground. But obviously there is some leakage around each of these seams. For now, it's not causing an issue. I just don't know if over time that issue will become bigger and it actually will start leaking. I've only been using this since November 23rd, so I still have a lot of time to test out this tower and see if it works. So far, most of the plants are doing great. I'm having some weird issues where some plants are growing very well and others aren't. I'm very, very new to hydroponics, so if anyone sees something that they might have an idea for or knows the issue, let me know, but let me show you. So this lettuce, amazing. All of these lettuces are growing so well and they're huge compared to this kale, and especially this guy, who has some sort of nutrient damage or maybe a pH issue. I have no clue what's going on with this one because there aren't many that look like him. Now I do have one theory, because those plants are at the bottom of the tower and their roots are actually hanging down into the water. That may have something to do with that. I'm just not sure because, like I said, it's not all of the plants. But let me show you these roots are insane, guys. They're just, let me show you. These are all the roots, and they're all hanging out. And like I said, with the plants here on this bottom row, because all of these roots are so long, they're just kind of pooled in this bottom reservoir. And I don't know if because that's where the direct application of the nutrient water and pH up or down goes. I don't know if that's an issue. But I mean, they're still growing, they're still edible, and I mean, look how much food this is. It's ridiculous. I have not added any new plants to this tower since I put all of these in. These are all the original plants that went in. And of course, as the plants grow, their nutrient requirements change and they need more. So the amount of NPK, nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, that I was putting in this tower at the beginning when they were seedlings is very different to what I'm doing now, by whole teaspoons. I'm going to do it anyways, because why not? But I'm a little bit nervous about putting these brand new seedlings in the empty spots in the grow tower because I have such a high nutrient concentration in here. I really don't want to not be able to succession sow in this tower though. So of course I'm gonna do it anyways. And you're gonna come with me and we'll see if it works, because that would be honestly the most ideal situation, if I could just continually start seeds as I harvest lettuces and herbs from here and just have an endless cycle of food constantly growing. But I'm just not sure how it works yet. Here are my onions, which are doing pretty well. Both types. So I have, let's see what I've got here. I've got Texas Early Grano, which is a white sweet onion in here. And I've got a blush type, which is Violet de Galmi in here. I'm gonna start hardening off these guys soon. I think I'm gonna try and transplant them out February or March. I'm not real sure yet. I have never transplanted out onions before because last year I grew them all from seed when I was supposed to start them, which I did not do this year. And when you're supposed to start them in my area is about October, early November. You plant them from seed in the ground, then they'll kind of grow all winter and then take off when the spring comes. I don't know if these guys are gonna bulb up the way that I want them to, but they're gonna go out in the garden regardless. This little indoor grow light plant experiment that I have is going well. I have noticed that they're obviously growing slower than the hydroponics, because the hydroponics are gonna grow faster regardless of anywhere I plant these guys. The hydroponics will grow faster because of the nature of the growing system, receiving constant nutrients in a perfect environment. They're indoors, but these are still doing really well. And in fact, some of these, like this culinary sage in this pot, looks way better than this culinary sage. From what I can tell so far, it's not a lighting issue. I have the same kinds of lights, just on the tower versus on here. So it has to be something in the water, some sort of nutrient thing I'm doing wrong. It's okay, it's still alive and I'm not too worried about it. I honestly don't want to stress myself out too much about the growth of these plants, because that would negate the whole rest and relaxation of the winter gardening season. So I'm still getting food. I'm not going to stress myself out and start a whole new research endeavor into hydroponics at this moment. I was trying to remember when I planted these, when I started these seeds. I couldn't find a video. It may be in there, I just didn't go through all of my videos. I couldn't find an Instagram post or any pictures, and I'm really, really bad at logging stuff like that. One of the reasons this YouTube is here, so that I remember things. But I have two different seeds that I started. This is dripping. I need new trays. So I started two different trays of plants. These are all lettuces and kales, and these were started earlier than these were. And I'm very excited about these because some of these seeds were the ones I'd ordered from MI Gardener, and some of them are herbs I've never had before. So I have holy basil, savory, cilantro, arugula, and mustard in here. And these are not quite tall enough to transplant into the tower. When I put all these plants in the tower the first time, I put a couple of really small seedlings. I want to say they were like that big, about this size, in there. And with the nature of the tower, they're just constantly being sprayed with water. And because they were so small, their leaves were constantly getting wet and they ended up dying. So this is about the size that I'm gonna start putting all of these plants in, just so obviously they have the best chance to live. I'm excited to put these in, but they're gonna have to wait a little while. So I've harvested 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 heads of lettuce, and I think I took a basil out too for the neighbors. So I've got 5 plants that I can put in here, and we're just gonna do 5 more lettuces. And I just really hope that they will be okay with the amount of nutrients in this water right now. So with this rock wool, all I'm gonna do is take these out. See how the roots are at the bottom? They are ready to go. And we just carefully pull them apart. There aren't any roots up here on these, so that's good. I did rip out roots last time I did this, but they were all totally okay. And then we're just gonna take these, take one of these. You see how deep this guy is right here? He is definitely gonna get splashed with water, constantly being this low. I could get bigger rock wool cubes. This is what I've got right now. But I also have clay balls. So what I can do is put the clay balls on the bottom just to elevate this guy a little bit until he grows up more. I did, for aesthetic reasons, put clay balls in some of these plants when I put them in. But the cats also really love the clay balls. And there are now clay balls all over my house. So for the future, I probably will not be using those clay balls and just doing the rock wool cubes. But for now, in order to keep these little lettuces safe and healthy, I'm gonna use them. I'm just gonna drop a couple balls here in the bottom for each of these guys. Not too high, I don't want them falling out. But about like that. In fact, I think I want a little bit less. That looks good. Maybe a couple to keep him stable on each side. There we go. And then this little guy goes right in there. So it seems like the sweet spot here is just one single layer of clay balls. They seem to fit pretty perfectly just like that. And then we just put them in. It is really that simple. So the concept for this is pretty awesome. This is a brand new one I just put in. And this PVC, it just shoots water and it's hitting the roots, see here, perfectly. This tray is at a slight angle and will drip down to the next tray, to the next tray, to the next tray, all the way down to the reservoir where it will then be taken back up and put through the whole cycle again. Amazing. A little disappointed that this costs so much money and it's so simple to make. There are tons of like PVC DIY hydroponics grow systems out there, and if you guys are interested and don't have the money to buy one of these right now, definitely check that out, because after working with this, putting it together, it's way more simple to make than spending a bunch of money. Not that I'm not grateful, Chase, this is amazing, this is awesome, but this is definitely doable if you wanted to make it yourself. I have been picking them as cut and come again lettuces, just like it's so different. So it's not as sweet. Lettuces will get sweeter if they're touched by frost or growing in a cold environment. It's actually pretty warm in here. This currently is the warmest room in the house because of all of the lights that I have. So this is one of the warmest rooms in the house. So this lettuce isn't like super sweet, but it is so soft and buttery. It's pretty amazing to notice if you're a gardener and you're familiar with hardening off plants. What hardening off is putting your indoor starts outside incrementally more every day for about a week or so to get them used to the outside temperature, the air, wind, sunlight, so that when you transplant them out, they don't just die. These are indoor plants, so they have never been touched by the sun or hit by wind. Sometimes when I'll just brush one of these and a whole stem will fall off because they have no stimulation in here. There's no wind to make their stalks stronger or their leaves tougher. So this lettuce is actually like super buttery soft and smooth. That's cool, very cool. It isn't as sweet as if I were growing it outdoors through the winter. It's still good, it's amazing, it's so good. But I'm gonna harvest this chard that's dripping water all over this floor because I'm over it. So we're just gonna pull the whole cup out. It's going to drip everywhere, but wait. This is so cool. And then, if I didn't have all these dang clay balls in here, the roots are just all throughout this cup. The plant is going to die when I pull this out of here because the roots are not going to come with it. So just be aware of that. If you want this to keep growing, you're gonna have to do a cut and come again method, because as soon as this happens, oh, all of these are, it's done. The plant's done. I just tore off basically its head. This isn't as big as I would have liked the chard to get, but frankly, I'm impatient. I want to grow more stuff. So I'm gonna eat him, and he's gonna be amazing. For the maintenance of this tower, I do have to put about a gallon of water in a day, or a couple gallons every couple days. I don't get that water line below the pump. And then with every gallon of water, there's a certain amount of nutrients that goes with it, as well as checking the pH and then adjusting if need be. Sounds like a lot. It's maybe max like 5 minutes a day, which is completely doable and very, very stress-free. And I'm explaining that because I don't want to sound like a hypocrite when I say I'm resting the outdoor garden, because you shouldn't stress yourself if you're unable to grow food in the winter. But I also want to provide encouragement if you are able to put food in a windowsill, or have grow lights in a grow shelf, or even do a small hydroponic system, that this may be a season of rest, but it doesn't have to be a season of quitting. So thank you guys for joining me today. Till the next one.